The next thing we are going to look at transplanting. You have your land, which I've said you could be having an acre of land, a quarter of land, or more, depending on the scope of your farming. So here we are looking at the transplanting, which is basically taking your plant from the nursery bed onto the field. And here mainly is when you have a nursery bed. If you did the final transplanting, or if you did the final transplanting in the field, we're also looking at picking the 9 that you are uprooting the 9 and bringing them into the field. And of course here we are looking at we look at also at something that we have looked in the previous section, and here we are looking at nutrition. Apart from nutrition, we also look at transplanting shock. Apart from transplanting shock, we are also going to look at the spacing. Depending on the method of irrigation that you are doing, that will also depend on the spacing that you are going to do. Of course, the spacing will be almost similar depending on the irrigation that you are going to do. And therefore, when you are looking at the nutrition, of course, we had the first bit of manuring. You have placed your manure, your compost manure or your farmyard manure. You have broadcast, you have mixed your soil very well. And after you have done that, we are looking at the spacing. And the spacing, suppose maybe the spacing I'm just going to demonstrate using the method of irrigation, the overhead. And once you have this your land, then you are going to establish along the contour. Usually along the contour, if your farm is inclined this way, then the line should be along the contour. It should not go down, because once it goes down, then we are going to look at a challenge of soil erosion. So you establish your lines going this way. Similar thing here, this side, all the way down. And here we are going to look at from plant to plant, what we are calling interplant spacing, to be 30 centimeters or 1 foot. And then we are going to look at the line spacing to be 30 centimeters. So this is 30 centimeters square. And once that is done, the whole farm, then you have your own, your established greenhouse that is very well spaced. If you are going to look at the basin, as I said, inside the basin, depending on the irrigation that if you are doing furrow and basin, then the same should be done such that this interplant spacing to be 30 centimeter and interline spacing to be 30 centimeter. So the spacing is done in a similar manner. And of course, when we are looking at the drips, if this is your land, of course you are going to establish your drip. You are going to establish your drip line there. Let's say this is the end of the land. You establish your drip line there. So of course you are going to have the main drip line here, and then you are going to have the other smaller drip lines spread across your land. Here you have the bed, and here you have the spacing. Spacing to be 45 centimeters. So you have a bed space to be 45 centimeter, and this is a space where you are going to to step on as you do the management, as you do your crop protection and so forth. So for the drips, you can have 3 drips, and these drips, they are usually spaced, the holes are usually spaced 30 centimeters. So the holes are usually spaced 30 centimeters, and therefore that will be okay. And then from one drip line to the other, you space them 30 centimeters, such that the interplant spacing will be, let me expand this. Maybe that is your drip line. This is the other drip line. So along the drip, that will be 30 centimeters. That is interplant along the drip line, because the drip line should have holes spaced 30 centimeters. And then from one drip line to the other, you space it 30 centimeters. So it will just be a similar establishment, just like the other. The only difference here is that you are using a different method of irrigation. You are calling the drips. And therefore, once that spacing is once you get that spacing, of course we have let me say back to our land, and you have your holes there. Of course, before you do the transplanting, we have the fertilizer. Depending on your soil testing, the phosphatic fertilizer, of course, the fertilizer you are going to start here is what we call the phosphatic fertilizer. So once the phosphatic fertilizer that was advised after the soil testing, you are going to use it here, including what to apply per acre, and even by extension what to apply per hole. So we are going to establish it here, and then you mix together with the soil, and then now the next thing will be transplanting. You can you do the transplanting, and since you are uprooting from the nursery and transplanting them to the final field, that process of change of the seedlings is what causes transplanting shock. And that is very important because once you establish, you're going to see the next 1 week or 2 weeks, the plant is not going to grow very well as it tries to recover from the shock of removal from the nursery into the final field. And how do we control this? We control transplanting shock using a biostimulant. We use a biostimulant, and the biostimulant we use here mainly the seaweed extract. And the seaweed extract, what it does, because the transplanting shock uses energy, it is going to go inside the young spinach crop, is going to activate the growth, such that the plant will be able to have a lot of growth energy to fight the transplanting shock and also to grow. And therefore, once that is done, you are going to find your crop, your young plant is going to establish very well. And now, once it is established here, now we are going to go to the other stage we call the starting stage, because once you establish in the field, now that young seedling is still a young seedling, and that is now the starting stage, growing to vegetative and growing to maturity. And we are going to go and see, next we are going to see the management aspect that we are going to employ in the starting stage.